The Maldives, a tropical paradise in the heart of the Indian Ocean. Known for its crystal clear turquoise waters, vibrant coral reefs, and powder white sandy beaches, it's a dream destination for many travelers. But beyond the luxury resorts and postcard perfect scenes lies a rich local culture and a growing community of budget friendly options waiting to be discovered. Whether you're seeking adventure beneath the waves or peaceful moments on a quiet beach, the Maldives offers something truly special for every kind of traveler. When people hear Maldives, they usually think of private overwater villas, luxury honeymoon resorts, and sky-high prices. And it's true. The Maldives is often seen as one of the most expensive destinations in the world. Traveling with someone can make it a lot more affordable since you can split costs for accommodation, taxis, and even food. But what if you're traveling solo? Here's the good news. The Maldives isn't just for couples or the ultra-rich. Since 2009, when the government opened local islands to tourism, guest houses, public ferries, and authentic island experiences have quietly made this paradise more accessible even for solo travelers on a budget. In this video, I'll share exactly how I experienced the Maldives alone, what it really cost me, and the practical tips that will help you enjoy this dream destination without a travel partner and without breaking the bank. Now let's talk about getting to the Maldives. The main international gateway is Velana International Airport in Malé, which is well connected to major hubs across Asia, the Middle East, and beyond. Popular airlines flying here include Emirates, Qatar Airways, Sri Lankan Airlines, and AirAsia, giving travelers plenty of options depending on where you're coming from. For me, I flew from Colombo, Sri Lanka, just about an hour and a half flight. I took Emirates, and since it was a last-minute decision, the ticket was a bit on the pricier side. I paid around 10,000 pesos or roughly $180. But honestly, it was worth it. Emirates is known for comfort, and the flight included a meal and a generous 25-kilogram baggage allowance, which made traveling easier. Next up is visas. Good news for most travelers, including those from the Philippines. The Maldives offers a free 30-day visa on arrival. That makes planning much easier. Just be sure to have this ready: a passport valid for at least 6 months, proof of accommodation, and a return or onward ticket. Additionally, travelers are required to submit a traveler declaration within 96 hours before their flight. This is done online through the official Maldives immigration website at www.imuga.immigration.gov.md, where you'll list your accommodation details. When I arrived, the immigration officer asked only for my passport, proof of accommodation, and my return or onward travel ticket. I found it super convenient to have all those documents printed out and ready to show. It made the process smooth and stress-free. Now let's talk about money. The official currency of the Maldives is the Maldivian rupiah or MVR. You'll find ATMs at the airport, in Malé, and some of the bigger islands but not everywhere. I didn't use ATMs during my trip. Instead, I exchanged US dollars right at the airport. From what I've seen and experienced, most accommodations and speedboat operators prefer payment in US dollar. So I recommend bringing some US dollars with you, especially in smaller bills. I only exchanged enough for meals in rupiah during my stay. The guy at the airport said the average cost per meal is 150 rupiah. During my visit, the exchange rate was about 15 rupiah per $1 US. The money changer at the airport offered 16 rupiah, but later in Malé, my hotel receptionist mentioned that money changers near the port offer closer to 19 rupiah. From my own experience, accommodations on local islands required cash payments at the property. Cards were not accepted. Because of this, it's important to bring enough US dollars or Maldivian rupiah with you before traveling. While you may find card acceptance in larger islands such as Malé or Hulhumale, on most islands, cash is the reliable option for both guest houses and small shops. Staying connected in the Maldives is pretty easy. You can buy a local SIM card right at the airport. The main providers are Diragu and Uredu. I got a tourist SIM for $40 US, which gave me 20 gig of data valid for 10 days, more than enough for browsing, social media, and even some work. Coverage is generally good, even on smaller islands, so you won't be totally off the grid. Plus, many guest houses offer free Wi-Fi. Since I work online, I was able to attend online meetings and get things done without any issues, thanks to reliable Wi-Fi at my accommodations. Once you land in the Maldives, the next step is getting out of the airport and to your island destination. There's a quick and affordable airport ferry that connects the airport island to Malé. It takes about 10 minutes and costs roughly 10 rupiah. For most local islands, transfers happen by speedboat, usually arranged by your guest house or by MTCC public ferries. Public ferries are super cheap but slower and less frequent. Here's a solo traveler tip. Always ask your accommodation to help arrange transfers in advance if you are taking the speedboat. Also, most public ferries do not typically operate on Fridays. For example, I chose to stay in Hulhumale first because my flight arrived late in the evening and the next day was a Friday, when ferry options are limited. I took a taxi to my accommodation and the cost depends on your destination zone. Getting around the Maldives depends a lot on where you're headed. Public ferries are the cheapest way to travel between islands, with fares starting around 20 to 60 rupiah. Just keep in mind that the schedules can be limited. Speedboats offer faster and more frequent trips but come with a higher price tag, usually between 30 to 50 US dollars or more, depending on the island. Seaplanes are mostly used for reaching far-flung or resort islands, so they're not really necessary if you're sticking to budget-friendly central atolls. And once you're on an island, most are small and walkable. You likely won't need taxis at all. Wondering when to visit the Maldives? The best time really depends on what you are looking for. The dry season from December to April is the high season, so expect plenty of sunny days but also higher prices and more tourists. The wet season runs from May to November. While you might get some occasional rain, it's also when you'll find fewer crowds and better deals. The owner of my accommodation told me that May to July is a great time if you want cheaper prices on places to stay. I visited during the first week of July and experienced mostly short rain bursts with plenty of long sunny breaks. In fact, out of my 10 days there, only one day was gloomy all day. So don't let a little rain scare you off. It can actually be a perfect time to enjoy the Maldives on a budget. Resort islands versus local islands. The Maldives is made up of many islands, but not all of them are the same type of destination. There are two main categories. Resort islands are privately owned islands with just one resort. These are all-inclusive style, often with overwater villas, and you'll rarely interact with locals except staff. Alcohol is allowed here. Prices are generally much higher. Local islands are islands where Maldivians live. This became open to tourists in 2009 when the government allowed guest houses to operate. Staying here is cheaper and you'll experience daily local life. Alcohol is prohibited and bikinis are only allowed at designated bikini beaches. Now let's talk about where to stay. With so many islands making up the Maldives, choosing where to stay can feel overwhelming. Some of the more popular local islands for budget travelers include Hulhumale, Maafushi, Tulusdu, Difushi, and Rasdu, each with its own unique vibe and experiences. During my 10 days in the Maldives, I split my stay across a few islands. 3 nights in Hulhumale, 2 right after my flight and 1 before flying out, 1 night in Malé, 2 nights in Thinadoo, and 4 nights in Mathiveri. I chose to stay in Thinadoo because someone I know works at a hotel there called Plumeria. In fact, she was the reason I decided to visit the Maldives after Sri Lanka. She randomly messaged me asking if I had any plans to visit Maldives, and I took it as a sign that maybe I should. I was really hoping to meet her during my trip, but unfortunately when I arrived, she wasn't responding to my messages. Mathiveri was chosen a bit differently. When I searched accommodations in the Maldives, I sorted the results in booking.com by lowest price, and the option in Mathiveri came up. So I decided to give it a try. Now I'll show you where I stayed on this island so you can get an idea of what the places look like and their costs. So this is where I stayed in Hulhumale. The rate was 56 US dollars per night. This is the common area where you can hang out or even cook your own meals if you like. Now let me show you the room. The drinking water is free and the room was very clean and came with both a fan and an air conditioner. The bathroom was spotless too, with a proper hot and cold shower. And then this place is in a great location, less than a 5-minute walk to the beach and really close to convenience stores and restaurants. This is where I stayed in Malé. The rate was $45 per night. The room was neat and comfortable with both a fan and air conditioner. It also had a TV and a mini bar. Complimentary drinking water, coffee, and tea were provided. So this place is less than 10 minutes walk to the ferry terminal. Now I'll show you the bathroom. It was well kept and had a proper hot and cold shower. There was also a shared common area available where guests could relax or even cook if they wanted to. This is where I stayed in Thinadoo. The room was very spacious and comfortable, and it came with a mini bar stocked with complimentary water, tea, and coffee. It also has an AC and a fan. I also appreciated that they provided insect spray since there are quite a lot of mosquitoes on the beach. The bathroom was just as spacious and spotless, with a unique open-air shower area that gave it a tropical vibe. Breakfast was included in the stay and I paid $53 per night. One of the highlights for me was in the late afternoon. From around 4 p.m. until evening, stingrays and nurse sharks would come right up to the beach in front of the property's restaurant. It was such an amazing sight, and I even got a drone shot that I really loved. But I found out that they show up because they're fed during these sessions. While it does create a unique opportunity to see them up close, I know it's not the best practice for marine life, so it's just something to be aware of if you visit. This is where I stayed in Mathiveri, and honestly, it was my favorite. Surprisingly, it was also the cheapest at $24 per night. The room was very clean and modern, with both bath and beach towels provided. It had a mini bar with complimentary drinking water, and the bathroom was spotless with a proper hot and cold shower. I was also amazed by some of the little details, like the ceiling fan with a built-in light. By the way, the room also has an AC aside from the fan. And a bedside table that doubled as a wireless charger and lamp. It was very convenient. Breakfast was included, and it was here that I got to try a traditional Maldivian breakfast for the first time, which turned out to be really delicious. I think this is tuna with grated coconut and onion, and then that's roshi and fried egg. What I did in the Maldives as a solo traveler. Unlike many travelers who pack their days with tours and activities, I chose to keep my trip really simple. For me, the Maldives was about slowing down and enjoying the moment. Some of the things I did were, I watched the sunset almost every day. I also took walks around the islands, and since most local islands are small, you can usually walk around the entire island in less than an hour. In Malé, I was told that around 4 p.m. you will see stingrays up close near the fish market. On Thinadoo, I watched nurse sharks and stingrays right by the beach in front of the resort's restaurant late in the afternoon. I also spent lazy hours chilling on the beach, enjoying the swings and going for sunset swims. One thing to note though is that on local islands in the Maldives, you can't just wear a bikini anywhere. Since it is a Muslim country, swimmer is only allowed on designated bikini beaches. These are special sections of the beach set aside for tourists. If you plan to swim on regular public beach, you'll need to be covered with maybe a rash guard or t-shirt and shorts rather than typical swimwear. Outside of bikini beaches, modest clothing is expected at all times. There are plenty of amazing tours you can do in the Maldives like snorkeling trips, dolphin cruises, sandbank picnics, even diving. But personally, I chose not to book any of them. Not because they were pricey, but because I feel experiences like these are best enjoyed with someone else. Since I was traveling solo, I was more drawn to quiet, simple moments rather than organized activities. Most guest houses and hotels can arrange excursions for you. Prices vary depending on the island and provider. One option worth mentioning is a resort day trip. This gives you a taste of the Maldives most people imagine. Private overnight villas, infinity pools, and picture-perfect beaches without paying thousands of dollars per night. You simply pay a fee to spend a day at a luxury resort island. The price usually covers both transfers, access to the facilities, and sometimes even meals or drinks. I decided not to do this for the same reason. I think these kinds of resorts are best enjoyed with a companion. Most of the guests there are probably honeymooners or couples. But if you don't mind going solo, I think it's a fantastic way to experience the luxury side of the Maldives while keeping your trip budget-friendly. Now let's talk about food. When it comes to food in the Maldives, there's something for every budget. You'll find high-end restaurants that cater mostly to tourists, but there are also plenty of local spots where you can eat more affordably. I mostly went for local food, and as you might guess, tuna shows up in a lot of dishes. Simple, fresh, and really satisfying. The only exception was at the airport, while I was waiting for my speedboat to Mathiveri, when I ended up eating the most expensive Burger King meal of my life. In some restaurants, they sometimes place bottled water on your table even if you didn't ask for it. It's not free, so you'll be charged if you open it. If you don't need it, just let them know and hand it back. So let's talk about costs in the Maldives. If you're staying in guest houses, rooms usually go for around $20 to $50 a night. And on top of that, there's a mandatory green tax. It is $6 per night for smaller guest houses with fewer than 50 rooms and $12 per night for larger hotels and resorts. Food is pretty affordable too. Local cafes and guest houses serve meals for about $5 to $10, and most places even throw in free breakfast. Getting around is cheap if you take public ferries. The airport ferry to Malé is less than $1, and inter-island ferries are just a couple of dollars. The only catch is the schedules can be limited, so if you want to save time, you'll probably need a speedboat, which starts at around $20. SIM cards for tourists are about $40 for 10 days with 20 gig of data, and for activities like snorkeling and island hopping, expect to spend somewhere between $30 to $100 per tour. Is the Maldives safe for solo travelers? Overall, the Maldives felt very safe for me as a solo traveler. The local islands are quiet, and people are generally respectful. Of course, just take the usual precautions. Keep an eye on your belongings and avoid walking alone in very dark areas at night. The Maldives isn't just for couples or luxury travelers. As a solo traveler, you can experience its postcard-perfect beauty without draining your savings. From spotting nurse sharks and stingrays right near your accommodation to enjoying laid-back island life, it's a destination that offers peace, adventure, and soul-soothing views. So pack your sarong, sunscreen, and open mind, and get ready to see the Maldives like most people never do. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss my upcoming solo travel adventures and budget tips. Thanks for watching and happy travels!